Right. Greetings and salutations. We are the wise men. I'm Louis, the man of mediocrity and medium riz.
And I'm DMAT, and I just found out this morning I've got fucking gray hair in my beard. And I'm pissed.
And I'm
fun.
Jesse, and I'm on enough pre-workout to kill a small horse.
So, today, everyone, thank you for joining us. This is going to be episode 25. We're talking about Apophis, the asteroid, the god, the NASA rocket program.
Yeah, the god
All
of
the above.
chaos.
All things Apophis today. So, hopefully it's a good episode. Hopefully we did enough research to keep this entertaining. Again, man of mediocrity, so probably not. So, how you guys been?
Good, man.
Yeah.
Chilling, man. Just, I'm actually on vacation, and I got like a week and a half off. It's freaking sick.
Oh, that is
Just
nice.
been enjoying it. Went to the Keys this past weekend. It was good. Good, man. Fun stuff. Hell yeah.
Yep, same old for me. Same old stuff. Just out here plumbing away.
Yeah, it's the plumber.
The plumber.
So it's funny you bring up your gray hair in your beard recently. So as many of you know, I'm the old man of our little group here. I don't have very many grays, but
It's bullshit.
my chin hairs here have, over like the past 6 months, my grays have increased exponentially in my chin. It used until like
No bueno.
until like the beginning of this past year, I only had like 2 or 3 in my chin. I had one right here, and then like 2 days ago I found one more like up here on the top of my head.
Yeah, you look like you
shoot.
dye your hair, like you
That's
dye your
all
hair
I got for grays.
dark.
But then I let my beard growth increase the other day. I got like fucking 40 in my chin now. I was like, what the hell is happening? This is going
No
on way
bueno.
too fast.
Yeah, the last couple of years I have like a strew of grays on both sides of my head.
Oh yeah,
Driving.
that's the best
It's
one.
horrible.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna do it, like, you want it to be uniform in like certain parts. You don't want it to just be random.
Spotty. It is a little spotty with me. I should start dyeing my hair more.
Just dye your hair gray. Just
Dye it all. Just
like side streaks.
I'm
like
32 years old. Dye my hair just all gray.
Well, not the whole thing.
And then I'm gonna join Antifa.
Do like J.
Skunk?
Jonah Jameson from Spider-Man.
Oh,
He's
Jameson.
got the side grays.
Yeah. Dude, I like the gray hair. I think it adds a little flavor.
Mm-mm.
A little salt.
flavor, a little salt in there, man. Yeah.
It just means you're dying.
Super depressed when I saw it, and I was like, fuck. I've been kind of getting slightly depressed lately of my getting older type shit.
You know when I knew I was old? This was about 5 years ago. So I would have been 36 or 37-ish when it happened. Getting out of the shower, fucking dry myself off, and I look down, and I got a fucking gray ball hair. I was like,
dude, you probably spotted that thing from a mile away, dude. Like, what
well,
the
it
fuck?
stands against my dark skin.
Yes.
So I was like, what the fuck is this? What is this? You don't belong here.
Right? What's going on here?
Pulled it off. He just pulls it immediately.
Boink, boink.
Mistake.
Oh yeah, man. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. It's part of this adventure of a life that we all live. It's good stuff, man. So Apophis, man, tell me what is this thing? It's kind of like it lately been getting a lot of publicity, and people have been talking about it for sure.
It's been all over my Google feed like crazy.
So one of the big things, all right, so we're going to get into it. Apophis that most people know, they either know the Greek deity Apophis, if you're a bit of a nerd, or if you're a nerd on the other side, Apophis is a near-Earth asteroid, right? And so that just means it's an asteroid that gets very close to Earth's path, right? So this thing is 370 meters wide,
Yeah.
which is like almost 4 football fields wide, right?
Yeah. Well, and if you could like picture it, I think the Empire State Building, when they were comparing it to it, the Empire State Building is 443 meters tall. And like you said, the width, if you could imagine that as the width, yeah, it's kind of decently big. Pretty big.
It's huge.
I don't know if it's like a planet killer, but I definitely think it would fuck a state completely up.
I want to say Neil deGrasse Tyson said the size of this thing, if you opened up the Rose Bowl, like I want to say it was the Rose Bowl, he said, like opened it up, like you could sit this thing inside of it, like seats, everything, not just the field, but like seats, everything inside of the Rose Bowl as if it were an egg.
Oh, wow.
Like that's
Imagine
how big
that.
this motherfucker is.
I thought it was bigger than that. The Rose Bowl.
The Rose Bowl might be. I mean, it's 400. I mean, shit.
I don't know.
Even just the concept of that is like is kind of interesting to think of. I don't know how fast it's moving, but I think that has a huge factor to play. Like if it was to hit, because if there's more speed and velocity, there's more energy and whatever, the impact could be more catastrophic.
It's moving, I want to say, roughly the same. Might be actually a little bit faster than the Earth, but like it crosses our path every couple of years.
Oh,
I think even some years like twice.
So the speed of our Earth rotating around the sun, so roughly like, was it 66,000 something miles an hour? I believe that's how fast we're going around. Wow. I mean, dude, the ISS is going 17.5 or something like that.
Allegedly.
And a bullet travels at an average speed of what, 2,700 feet per second? I'm just talking about. I'm talking about.
Much.
It really depends on the bullet.
Okay.
9 mil is usually
probably the conditions, weather and stuff.
9 mil is like depending on the load between like 18, like really cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cooking.
1,600 feet per second, or like 1,000.
Shit.
There are really too many subsonic 9 mil rounds. So
I keep forgetting I have to stop cursing. We're on YouTube.
Yeah, you do. I was very surprised. The first F-bomb. I'm like, whoa, dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
Chill.
This coffee's got me freaking amped
I drop F-bombs
up,
all the time, so this is going to be impossible.
I'm just going to say F. We'll do that.
Farg. Let's farg it up. All right. So anyway, the pause 1 second.
Pause. P. Diddy, pause. No, I'm just kidding.
No Diddy.
No,
right,
yeah, we can't even say that.
I had a 3D
pause,
print
no
going
Diddy.
in the background, and it just destroyed itself. So that's a waste.
Is that what I heard? I heard something.
Yeah, something crackling back there. It was the print just ripping itself off of the
His electronics are like coming to life. They like take over him.
All right, so Apophis. The big concern with it is that in the year 2029, it was projected. They did some studies after they found it. They measured its orbit and its trajectory and stuff. And that back in 2004, someone came up with the probability that there was a 2.7 chance that it was going to strike Earth on April 13th, 2029. Right?
Imagine being that guy.
Oh, man, you must shit my pants. There I go, cussing again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the Don't Look Up thing with Leonardo DiCaprio. Like it's gonna hit us, and everybody's just like, yeah.
Well, that's what I was telling Jesse. I was like, what if the 2029 approach is like what we think as it being an approach for what we can examine it as or whatever, but really it's like some fucking alien ship that like just keeps coming closer and closer and closer and closer. And they're like, what? It's off path. What's going on? What's happening? And it like plays into the movie Don't Look Up, or whatever. But then some crazy UFO disclosure like happens like right
Project
in that
Blue Beam.
time or whatever, who knows? It just seems like it could be like a setup, but it might not be a setup. That's just how I was kind of.
I mean, maybe I have a theory on some of this stuff too, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
So, but after they redid some of the math on this stuff, they got all the big brain guys together to go through it, they discovered, so there is a gravitational keyhole that is about 800 kilometers in diameter. That if Apophis passes through this, it'll change the trajectory of it. And I think we might have. Did I share that one of those videos? Yeah, Apophis is crazy close.
Yeah, we'll transition in over to it. I think it is. Let me pull this up. Kind of sucks for the people that are not watching, but you
we
guys
can describe
always
it, right?
go back. Yeah.
But it shows its trajectory. So when it passes, it's not going to hit Earth in 2029, but it's going to pass close enough. And if it passes through that keyhole, then it's supposed to affect it enough that it will actually have a strike in April 13th, 2036.
I got the video up for everyone that's watching right now. It's kind of showing like the path in space of kind of
so
like
5 years from now, but it will pass. And 5 years from now, it's supposed to pass basically between us and the moon, and actually closer to us than some of our satellites in orbit. Our geostationary satellites are in orbit. It'll pass between those and Earth. Like, that's how close it's actually going to be to
I ain't
us.
even going to lie, dude.
Close enough that it'll be bright enough that we can see it with the naked eye in the sky.
In this video too, like it's coming. It looks like it's coming right at Earth, and then it just flies right by it, and you can see the gravitational
pulls. Trajectory a little bit, right?
It does, yeah. It kind of like gets like sucked in and then shot out in a way.
So yeah, so if it hits that gravitational keyhole, they're expecting an impact in 2036, and according to Neil deGrasse Tyson, because he's the foremost guy that talks about this stuff online mostly, that everybody cares about, but he described it as, so it's supposed to hit somewhere off the coast of California if that happens, right? And if I remember correctly, in 2036, I think it's supposed to hit the Earth either way, but depending on if it hits where it hits in that keyhole, it just changes where it hits on Earth.
Right. And now they've given other predictions too, right? Like 2050 or 2060 something, I believe was like the next, if it doesn't fall into the keyhole, right? Or something like that.
Yes. There's a date of like April 12th, 2068. Like, because it's not going to leave us alone, essentially.
Right.
Yeah,
it's going to be
in our orbit.
Stuck in that path. Yeah. It's just going to keep revisiting over time.
Exactly. So, but like some predictions had it off the coast in the Atlantic, depending on where it hits the keyhole. Some are saying off the coast in the Pacific, like 500 kilometers off of Southern California. If it hits there, like the east coast of the United States is destroyed, mostly by tsunami. But
are these like keyhole areas, like just void spaces? Is that kind of like it's just an area, like a doorway to kind of?
I think they're more like gravitational anomalies.
Okay. Because I remember back, this had to be a couple of years ago now, there was Oumuamua, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
There was speculation of it being a craft because of its path it took in and out of our solar system or whatever.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm wondering if maybe that path looked like that because of, those gravitational anomalies. Just curious about it.
Yeah, so that's the big reason most people might have heard of Apophis, or when they hear Apophis, they think of this asteroid, right? Because it might. I mean, we don't know. It could be an Earth killer, but it'll definitely be a United States altering event,
right?
Regardless of where it hits.
What was that movie with Gerard Butler, and an asteroid impact movie, but
Greenland.
Okay. Greenland kind of makes me think of all the there's elites building bunkers and all this kind of stuff. I even think in that movie they called it Apophis. I think they called it Wormwood. I think it was like Wormwood or Apophis.
I don't remember. I didn't watch that movie. I don't know.
Oh shoot, dude, you've never seen that movie? Oh man,
No,
you
it's a
gotta
good
watch
movie.
it. It's pretty good. It's
Yeah.
kind of like what we're all talking, what this episode's pretty much about. That's what like the whole movie's about. But yes, tell me more about the Apophis.
So since you kind of led into it a little bit, one of my theory behind some of this is that, so we know that this is happening. We know that, or we presume, I guess, we believe the government and Hollywood are in this together, and they create movies based on some fact, but also in a way to prepare us for certain things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the rich and the elite are creating bunkers and preparing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, a lot of people believe it's in preparation for World War III, which isn't necessarily like out of the picture, right? Like it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
It's in the picture for sure.
Yeah, but what if it's because they actually are expecting an asteroid strike of some sort?
Yeah.
And so they're building bunkers. They're starting some of these wars in preparation to reduce the population. Like it's just a tactic to reduce population.
Mm-hmm.
And
we've
then
talked about this before. Yep.
Yeah, and some of that is the cattle shortages, like all these things, like the famines that we're experiencing, the food shortages, like all these new policies that are coming into effect, making it harder to produce food. It's all trying to specifically reduce the population so that when one of these events happens, it's like already our population has shrunk.
It'll
by
be even more
2029.
catastrophic.
Well, it would be less
The impact.
catastrophic.
I guess I'm
It
saying like
wouldn't
if there's
affect
less
as many people.
Oh, okay, I see what you're
Like
saying.
we wouldn't, our response to it wouldn't be as difficult because there's less people to take care of already.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh
Like
yeah.
we've already eliminated a billion people, right?
In a way,
so now
you're
we only have to
saying
deal with 6
it would be
billion
easier
instead of-
to maintain 500 million people.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
That's what you're saying. If anyone got that reference, you're smart. And if you didn't get it, go figure it out.
They exploded it and then removed it.
Yeah. Which I was talking about that yesterday with my mom, or 2 days ago. I wonder what happened to their time capsule.
Oh man, I wonder. Oh, dude, and it didn't have a date on it. Didn't have like an ending date.
An open date.
Oh,
right?
an open date. Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder what the property looks like now. Like because it was owned by.
Golly.
It was private land, right?
Right.
But
right.
it was managed by the county.
Yeah. The hell is in there, man?
I wonder.
I know.
Anyway, we're talking about the Georgia Guidestones in case those of you who...
There you go. Check out our episode of it. It's pretty cool.
So
that you Alex Jones right there? Is that your Alex Jones impression?
Yeah.
So
shoot.
That's my theory behind some of that. But we also have the Greek name for the Egyptian god. So the Egyptian god's name was Apep.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
The Greek name for that is Apophis. That's where we get Apophis.
Right.
Is the Greek name. Well, the Egyptian god, he is the deity. He is the god of destruction, chaos, and darkness. Right? Sometimes he can be... If any of you know anything about Egyptian mythology and stuff, some of it is, like, if you really go deep enough, it's convoluted. Like, depending on if you're Old Kingdom or New Kingdom, like, they reference the same thing for multiple gods kind of deal.
Right. So, it's kind of like Ra and Apep, very similar.
Well,
in a way.
Aten, I want to say, was a different name for Ra. So there was 2 all-powerful deities back in the day. Ra, and then who was also known as Aten, and then there's Apophis, and they were enemies. They were always fighting each other. And so Ra, the sun god, his job was to every day cross the earth, provide light, bring life And then Apophis was chaos and darkness, and his goal was always to destroy Ra and the other gods.
Right.
And Ra, even many times, would be hypnotized or caught or embattled by Apophis, and the other gods would have to come and help, kind of deal. And so they're we fighting each other. And at the end of the day, though, it was always Ra and his cadre that won. But so, just gonna read here from ancient Egyptian online in case anybody wants to look it up. So Apep, many names. He was the ancient Egyptian spirit of evil, darkness, and destruction. As the arch enemy of the sun god Ra, he was a malevolent force who could never be entirely vanquished. Every night, as the sun traveled through the underworld or across the sky, his roar would fill the air and he would launch his attack. So this was a never-ending battle between the two of them. So according to there's one myth where Apep would hypnotize the sun god and his followers, except Set, which Set, and this says that Set would repel the serpent by piercing his side with a great spear. But Set, in some of it, he was also known as the god of chaos as well. So he was a storm god. He was a storm god associated with events such as eclipses, thunderstorms, earthquakes, stuff like that, which I believe is why he was associated with the god of chaos, because he was also breaking stuff. Occasionally, in some of the texts, like they're depending on if it's Old Kingdom or New Kingdom, they find like they're kind of referred to as the same being. So maybe Set could possibly be like an aspect, or I don't know, relative.
I'm wondering if it was like something to do with like their culture over time. I don't know if they just changed names. You know how like some of the Greek mythology, like some of them, their names kind of like
changed or
have like two names to it. Like they're called once this one time and then they're called this another time.
I mean, if you want to ascribe like actual beings or personalities to them, I mean, over time, things and people can evolve, right? So it's possible. Like Ra is known as different names as well, right? I already told you he's Aten in the older kingdom. He's referred to as that, but that's just an aspect of the deity Ra. If you look at where was I going with this? Oh, so in that same vein, if you look at, go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm gonna pull up for the viewers what this god looks like, the imagery behind him. Go ahead while you're talking.
Yeah, so he is known to be a huge snake, right? A giant serpent. Which fits honestly many of the cultures of our world, right? A giant serpent deity of some sort existing, even in Christian mythology is probably not the right word, but Christian like history and like our Old Testament and stuff. Like Lucifer was known to be the serpent, or the beast, stuff like that.
The snake in the garden.
Right. But and he's also the Prince of Darkness and all this stuff. So this kind of fits into that same vein where our God fits in the same vein as Ra, being the the light and the darkness and the bringer, bringing life and stuff.
It's so fascinating how the stories all connect from different empires and stuff.
I believe it's all the same story. It just kind of broke down differently after
passed down traditionally in a way.
The telephone game,
I think like the initial story was all the same, and then after Jesus Christ was born, like that's when things really changed, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But prior to that, I think it was all the same story, just different. Wherever you were born, it was different.
Crazy. We should do maybe a show on that to kind of like just bring together all the mythologies and how they share maybe similarities. I just find it very interesting. I do.
I would love to do that, but that's one hell of a research and code.
That
Oh, yeah.
is-
Putting
yeah.
it all together.
I'm
You
gonna
might as well just-
hopefully- I'm gonna find
do a
someone that
documentary
did
at
all
that
the
point.
research.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just give me a table chart, and I want to see
Yeah.
what is
Yeah.
the same together.
Just a web chart.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, so Apep was known by many epithets, which so one is the evil lizard, the encircler of the world, the enemy, the serpent of rebirth, and it says he wasn't worshipped, but he was feared, and again, possibly the only god who was considered to be all powerful. He didn't require nourishment and could never be completely destroyed, only temporarily defeated, which, like we just discussed, is very similar to how I guess the devil and Satan is portrayed.
Right. And it's almost like, what is the ancient Sumerian? Enlil and Enki, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Very similar correlations. Yeah. So fascinating, dude.
One of the stories that I read about him, which I thought was interesting, is so because we just had our solar eclipse that just passed by, right?
Mhm.
And this will kind of lead into a different NASA program that was involved, which is named after
right.
APEP.
Yep.
Right, the program is APEP,
and they shot 3 rockets in the same. I guess.
Yeah. One of these myths, it says that Apep would hypnotize the sun god and all of his followers except Set, who would repel the serpent by piercing his side with a great spear. Right, I said that. Says in some texts, Apep would trap the boat of Ra in his massive coils, referred to as sandbanks, or cause the waters of the underworld to flood and overwhelm him. Which that right there, it made me think of if he trapped the boat and wrapped him in his coils, that boat is the sun, right? Like Ra is the sun traveling, and all of a sudden darkness traps it. That sounds like a solar eclipse to me.
And then floods, right?
All day long.
And that's
that's
why I can see why NASA is,
right,
having
and
that
says
mission named the way it is.
Says Apep would swallow the sun god, but the other deities, they would cut a hole in his belly of the snake to allow the sun god to escape. If they failed, the world would be plunged into darkness. So that sounds like, all right, he got swallowed.
Right.
His sun's gone for a little bit. They cut him open. Boom. He's back out, and there's sun again. That is a fucking solar eclipse if I've ever heard one.
Yeah. Like, how the heck is NASA that educated on like pagan mythology in a way, or not pagan, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, you got to think like we're three, like, like normal
idiots.
bums, like general knowledge idiots.
Yes.
You said that we just come together. We put our three oversized, empty brains together.
Yeah.
And come up with these ideas. These dudes were like NASA dudes. I'm sure some of them are relatively
They're
normal.
very
But they
geeky.
a lot of time learning weird shit like this. Like this is kind of what they do.
Right. Wonder like what the orientation is like for NASA. It's like you're going through, right? And they're like, all right, this here, all right, and then basically here, study all this fucking mythology, and because it's a big part of our job, which is interesting because they do. I mean, pretty much every mission I believe that they do, it is named after some sort of ancient god or deity.
Yeah, they like to do that, and so, but that always makes me think of, we talk about when, like the evil powers that be, right? They have to put it in your face. They have to tell you what they're doing,
right,
before they do it, because it's like an implied consent. It's like, hey, we're doing this. Stop us if you want to, but like no one's paying enough attention to actually do anything about it. I feel like this kind of falls
Right.
into
And I
some of
think
that.
too, to piggyback on what you're saying, is that I think there's people that talk about the karmic law and all that kind of stuff, but I also think that it has something to do with like ritual energy. So if NASA is right, like, they have this mission, they're naming it this, they publicize it, and people are into it, they're enjoying it, they're expecting it, they're like, honestly, like, it's a lot of energy harvest for that ritual, if that makes any sense. Like, it makes me think like back in the day, the civilization, when pyramids were all over the earth or whatever, and you've got all these temples and stuff that archaeology has found and all this kind of stuff. But I think that it was those temples, they were some sort of energy harvesting,
Transfer.
Yeah, and it's like, I think that's a big
antenna.
That's a big part of this. So like, I mean, everyone knew about APEP, and everyone knew about the solar eclipse and all this kind of stuff. But I feel like when the world is partaking in it, it's benefiting maybe the people that are trying to get something else out of it, right? Because that's like what a ritual's for. It's kind of like a bargain for something in, it's basically like they're going to reap a benefit for whatever ritual that they're doing or whatever.
Harvesting a certain type of energy. It's funny you say that, because it's like since I was a kid, every full moon, I just feel like I have more energy. We just had a full moon. I couldn't sleep. I was like tossing and turning all night.
Well, I mean, I bet Stevie has the same feeling, because both of you are pretty furry dudes. You probably like Anthropic a little bit, and so your bodies are like, I need to be outside, munching on rabbits and shit.
Yeah. Dude, the moon's been kind of crazy lately. It's been lighting up the sky, dude. It's super bright.
Yeah, even in the day. But I mean, that's in its cycle right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So this thing is supposed to come into our orbit in 2029, that there's a 2.7% chance of impact. What do you guys think, like, something at this size, what kind of an impact are we looking at? Like, how big of a disaster do you think this could cause?
I really think it depends on where it hits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
So kind of, there's what's the name of that other one that hit in Russia not too long ago? The Chelyabinsk.
Yeah.
meteor?
We actually got a video of that. We'll bring it up too.
Yeah. So the Chelyabinsk meteor impacted February 15th, 2013. This was in Russia. The size, I believe, the size of this meteor was referenced to be about the size of a house, right? And like mine or your house, not like like Elon Musk's house, right? Or a rich person's house, like a normal, like 1,500 square foot to 2,000 square foot house, right? And this thing, it sent 1,000 people to the hospital, which not all those people were seriously injured. But when this thing came into the atmosphere, it was super bright. Like, it looked like, I don't know, like another sun just kind of crossing our sky.
Yeah.
And then once it impacted, like the blast wave, people were watching it. So the blast wave broke all the windows in this town, in the city. And it ended up, like, people got sent to the hospital from like injuries from like glass shards and stuff like that. That was, I don't remember if anyone actually got like killed by it, because it hit out in the countryside, but it was near enough to this town that it caused all this damage.
I mean, dude, I think we're looking at I think maybe the worst impact would be an ocean impact. I think that would maybe affect multiple coastlines, I
want to disagree with that.
Instead of just hitting like, land, whatever, taken out, even just, a big city.
I want to disagree. I mean, if it hits New York City, or I mean, any big city, I mean, that's going to be far more devastating than a hit in the ocean.
No,
There's no way, you know what I mean?
Population density. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Well,
for sure. I do think the waves are gonna fuck up a lot of infrastructure and all that kind of stuff.
You might be right. Yeah, floods, massive floods.
I mean, when you think about it, like what is on the coast? Like there's nuclear power plants like all over the coast. Imagine those things getting absolutely fucked up. I mean, screwed up. Sorry, we'll blip that out.
No, we won't. So one of the things, so they like I think I brought it up earlier. They suspect that it will have like a Pacific. If it goes through that gravitational keyhole, it'll have a Pacific impact, right?
No bueno.
They're guessing if it hits that area.
I'm getting a beach.
Southern California, you might be getting a beach, yeah. But it's supposed to cause a tsunami. Obviously hundreds of meters tall. I think they said.
Oh my God.
But it estimated will only go inland about was it? It was half
few miles
or 5 kilometers, something like that.
Yeah, I would think at least a couple miles.
Right. But just imagine the coast of California. That is like,
oh my gosh, we'd have the electoral votes. That's what I'd say.
Yeah. It's like like 100 million people, right? In California or something like that.
Oh, dude. I mean, it's crazy. There's 3 major cities: San Diego, Los Angeles, and then San Francisco. Yeah. Huge cities.
Crap. Using the wrong computer.
Dude, and then it's going to take out Japan. I mean, Hawaii's totally effed.
Oh,
you know, if we're talking about like tsunamis. I mean, they are mountainous, which is good, but, you know, everything is on the coast. It's like when you look through, you know, history, like most of the populations are always by the coast.
Yeah, so that's 13,315,822 people in the year 2022.
Like on the dot.
But
just in LA? What are you talking
about? California. Like the whole.
You sure about that?
U.S. Census Bureau quick facts.
Boom.
I'm pretty sure LA's that big alone. They say the same thing when you look up Las Vegas. It's way off. Las Vegas is like 3 million. If you look it up, it's going to tell you 600,000 or something stupid.
Well, it might be too that like maybe they're taking that data for peak hours or night hours or whatever.
They're not incorporating all the illegal immigrants.
Made that too, but there's also Las Vegas and then Las Vegas and surrounding areas.
Yeah. There's North Las Vegas, Henderson. But still, even when you look up those populations and add them together, that's still wrong. I don't know why. Maybe it's just Vegas, but I'm like almost positive LA's like at least 8 million alone.
Golly, that's big.
All right, well,
gigantic.
Let me click deeper. Anyway, but one of the things they say is we will know so far ahead of time because we are tracking this particular asteroid. We'll know so far ahead of time that there will be time to evacuate people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the infrastructure and the buildings and like everything that exists there will be
gone
underwater and destroyed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the monetary, like the reparations for all that, like fixing all that or getting people back into their homes, or I mean, if they treat it like they did Hawaii, it's not going to be getting people back into their homes. It's going to be cheating people out of their property so that big businesses and millionaires and stuff can come in and buy everything back. Right?
Dude, let's think about this too. Like, what if like it doesn't impact, but there's like say it does come right, whatever, 20,000 miles away, blah blah blah. It's closer than some satellites,
kilometers
or whatever. That maybe a piece breaks off, starts to come into our orbit, and then slowly comes into our atmosphere, and then like lands. But a very small piece that like we can't maybe detect.
I don't know. I feel like they would be able to see it at that point.
Okay, so let's say
if it's that close,
right?
If it's inside of our satellite range,
right?
And they're watching it the whole time, they're gonna see something pop off.
Right. So let's say something does pop off, right? It just like little piece breaks off or whatever, lands on Earth, and it's like the deadliest infection zombie thing or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We're like, it's kind of like when
that's worse.
That's worse.
Oh
that
yeah,
sounds terrible.
I'd much rather hit New York City.
You know, they go and they examine it, whatever, it gets somehow, they get contaminated, people start mutating. It's like, what the fuck? What is going on, dude? That'd be nuts.
I mean, that would be a good case to still have a bunker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing to consider is even if the cities get destroyed, populations are displaced. That's a huge problem, obviously. But like California, I wonder how much farmland would be affected because
dude, and they supply a
lot
lot
of food
of the
that
country.
comes out of California.
I think it's pretty much all lettuce and I think
fruits, lots of fruits,
and
yeah,
a lot of stuff comes from there.
And
a lot of oranges. Oranges is a big.
Oh man, I'm getting freaked out.
Avocados.
Boys. I like to eat.
Yeah.
I like to eat.
I too am a fan of eating.
And I like to not kill my food. I like to eat. I like just going and buying it.
So what was that? 2036 we said was projected?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how many years from now is that? 20, we're 24,
20,
11, 12.
12
years.
12 years.
Yikes.
But
no, hey, good news though.
That's it. That's if it doesn't hit in 2029.
Right. But we don't. So here we won't even have to worry about that, right? Because remember, your dad during our AI podcast, the interview, he said we only had like 2.5 years.
That's gnarly.
From what was that, last October? So we got like
2027, right?
Yeah, we got like a year and some change left. So when AI predicts, we're all done anyway.
By the way, we should get him back on because recently he's got footage of something flying around in Vegas.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, Jesse. Tell us about that real quick.
Yeah, so he was at my little sister's softball practice, and he looks up, and there's this orb like flying around the northeast side, and I think it moved more west. And it's a massive orb. I put it up on my channel, Jesse T Baby. You can find it there. But also some Mavi777. He's a larger YouTube channel than the norm. He does all like UFO stuff. He asked to take the video, so I let him take the video, and then he put 3 of the videos that I had and compiled it into like a 10-minute video.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really crazy looking. A lot of people are like, I don't care, it's a balloon. It's so funny how he's there taking a video of this, and everybody around him sees it too, and they just could care less. They're like, yeah, it's probably a balloon at a dealership. It's like, okay, does the balloon at the dealership fly on the northeast side of town as well? Like,
yeah. Well,
what are you talking about?
On the balloon, like what's the point of having a balloon? I mean,
he said it was changing colors, and
it's a weather balloon, Jesse. Obviously,
yeah, it might be. I mean, it might be one of our like Chinese satellite balloons or whatever.
Oh, dude, what if it was?
It could.
I mean, they're in the country. We all know this. They're coming in through the southern border.
Usually, they're a lot higher than that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, what if they're specifically spying on Las Vegas?
Why didn't anyone shoot at it? Just screw it.
I did.
Start emptying rounds at the sucker.
I did. I got out of my truck and I
pulled
shot.
My crossbow out.
I shot 8 rounds from my 45 ACP at it, and I missed all of them.
You're desk popping the thing, dude. Boom, 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 boom.
No, but when you zoom in to the video, you can it looks like there's a force field. Like a blurry line that surrounds the orb. I've seen one of these things before,
like an
man.
anti-gravity field?
This up, you meant?
Oh yeah, bring that up.
What?
You can go on my channel and bring it up.
What are we talking about? I'm lost.
The video of my dad that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, jeez, you're lost, man.
No,
Holy
sorry, I thought
moly,
you were saying.
dude.
I don't know what was going on. I was like,
sorry,
but yeah, this
did
is.
Did you get outed? You just started sinking into your own head.
I'm a clone, and my real self is held captive under the ground underneath this house, and I short sometimes. I don't really know. Everything was downloaded, so bear with me. I never experienced it.
If you can pull up the YouTube of the video, let me. See.
That's what you're saying.
You want me to send it to you? I'll just send the right one to you. So you can.
What's the guy's page? Mr.
You can just pull up. You can just pull up mine because it's shorter and easier. Let me make sure I get the right one though, because you gotta hear it.
Yes, we're
Yeah,
looking.
I put this creepy music behind it. Here, I'm sending it to you via text. The correct one.
Dude, I'm not Jamie. I can't just stream something. I'm just kidding.
Welp.
Off of
Figure it out, Jamie.
Jesse T. Do you want me to play the shorts? I can get the shorts rolling.
Well, I just sent it to you. You play the one I just sent to you, but unless you're, I mean, if you're already on there.
Page. Okay,
that's fine. Play the one that says UFO caught on camera. If you zoom in, you can see a force field around the UFO. Play that one. Whoa.
Right. This is it.
Now it's like a silver orb.
I love the little background. Music.
I love the mysterious music that you got going on behind it. And your dad is so funny. He's like, what is that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know? He's like whispering. He's like not trying to like spook it.
Not.
So this thing was changing colors. I did see it get really bright white at one point. I mean, like maybe a cloud moved out of the way and the sunlight was able to
I'm positive that's what it is, because there's another video where you can see there's a cloud over it and it's like dark gray.
Yeah.
So it's highly reflective. I mean, who knows? Maybe it was like
imagining like what if this was, you know, some sort of like disclosure ET thing or whatever, and freaking you've got F-18s flying in, dude. Like they don't even give a crap anymore. They're shooting. There's collateral damage going on, you know, all kinds of stuff.
Battle Las Vegas.
Battle Las Vegas, dude.
Dude, so I've seen something like, I've talked about this before a couple times, but I've seen an orb that was pitch black. It was like phantom black. It flew over my house in Summerlin, and it was a pretty high rate of speed, but it really didn't look like it was going that fast. But it flew over my house and then flew like 20 miles in like seconds. And I just stood there watching it, and it was just really weird because you couldn't tell how big it was. It didn't really look that big when it flew over my house, but I could still see it as it got further and further over the mountains. I could still see it pretty well.
Like a fly or like a bug that your eyes weren't focused, and it was like, oh, I can't tell how far away it is, and then perspective, it shot off towards the mountains, and it was only like 12 feet away, but it's like, God, it's going so fast.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bug. I'm standing in the back of my yard. It's like 100. It looked like it was 100 feet above me. Perfectly solid orb. Crazy. Absolutely.
I would trust this man. He knows a lot about balls.
I know a lot about black balls.
It's funny because like a bug would look like its movement is like erratic. Yeah.
Just not.
Did we just say the same thing?
Negative. Negative, guys. Negative. Drop the bug thing.
Negative.
It's not a bug.
I believe you, Jesse. I believe you believe.
Hey,
listen, we're trolling you, mother.
Yeah. Oh, hey, you sound like Andrew Schultz. I believe he believes what he's saying.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, dude. What were you saying before that? Oh, this is one thing I wanted to bring up too. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's UFO like encounters everywhere. I see them all over. They're all over the news right now. There's a lady in New York that just took a video outside of her plane, and she caught like a disc flying by pretty fast. And they slow it down, and you can see it look like a disc. It looked like a Roomba. It looked like a Roomba flying at a high rate of speed.
You know what's funny, Louis? When we'll go back to APEP, but like you said it was projected to, if it was to make impact, Pacific.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Well,
so
it depends on where it goes through that gravitational anomaly. If it goes through like the dead center, it's more of it's going to hit us, is what they're saying. It just depends where it's going to land. This
just popped in my head, but we were talking about, if it was to make an impact in the water, what would that look like and stuff. But in Revelation, it talks about wormwood, and this is the last book in the Bible. But it's interesting because it talks about a burning mountain, right? Which, if you think about it, the video that we looked at today of the Russian meteor, whatever, that came through, it looked like
Chelyabinsk.
Right. If I was to describe that in, thousands of years ago, that it would look like a burning mountain in the sky. And it's funny because like in that it talks about that this burning mountain comes and it enters the sea, but it makes a third of the water bitter, and that word bitter is like wormwood. So it's like, and that's what this thing is called. But when you look back in the when you look back at Chernobyl, right, which was a nuclear power plant that was a disaster. Chernobyl actually, I believe, has something to do with wormwood. I don't know if that's what the city was named after or before that happened, but I'll have to look it up.
I heard about
I just
this.
found that was very interesting.
I heard about that.
Which they would name it wormwood because of, what the radiation did to the area around it.
Let's look this up because we can't just leave that one in the air.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a thing.
I feel like keep talking. I'm just gonna.
Yeah. I'm looking it up right now. So, So Chernobyl is the Ukrainian word for wormwood. So that's the connection.
Interesting.
And I don't know how factual that is, or if it's just what people started, talking about on the internet. But it seems like there's quite a few sources. There's some sort of connection between wormwood and Chernobyl. That's all I can really claim.
So, can you look up a translator, like Google Translate?
Yeah, let's do it.
And see if that's what it translates to.
Right.
The first thing that I found, which I thought was kind of interesting, there's an article on atlasobscura.com, which I don't know how, like I've never heard of this website, so I don't know how, like the veracity of its information. But the article is titled "Monument of the Third Angel, Chernobyl, Ukraine." It says this biblical sculpture honors those who lost their lives, homes, and communities at the Chernobyl disaster, and it's kind of neat. It looks like an angel made out of, I don't know, it could be rebar, but like that style metal. An angel playing a trumpet, and we all know like the angels of that are supposedly trapped under
the Euphrates River or something.
Euphrates, that like when they play you hear their horns, they're going to be released, that kind of stuff. It's interesting that they have that as well as wormwood, which is supposed to be the end of the beginning of the end of the world. You know what I mean?
It's wild. It's kind of crazy. It's really just translating it into the same name. I think it's because it's because it's a city name, or not. I mean, it's an area, so I don't know specifically, and that's why I don't know if it was like a tradition in Ukraine or if it's. I don't know. Just thought it was interesting. It's not like it's a full factual statement, but there's some information about it. Or maybe I'm just not translating it right. Could be. I am an idiot, so.
Oh, I mean, it sounds good.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if this thing, I wonder what other movies they're going to start to put out if this is something that's like really legitly going to happen here. I wonder if there's going to be more meteor movies, more end of the world type meteor impact movies or whatever. And this thing is
no doubt.
This thing is a meteor, right? It's not, or is it an asteroid? It's an asteroid. I don't really know the difference between meteor and asteroid. I know a comet has a tail because of the
asteroid, it's still in space. It becomes a meteor when it enters our atmosphere.
Check.
If I remember correctly.
Gotcha. Now, a comet has
once it hits Earth, it changes name again into
meteorite.
I think so.
Yes.
So this article the monument of the third angel, they have some quotations in here that discuss what we were just trying to figure out, right? So it has one. It says, and part of the reason the guy created this monument, it says, and the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. Right? That was the biblical.
That's what I was kind of going off of. Yeah.
Revelation 8:10-11. And then it goes on in the article. It says, while English language Bibles translate this name as wormwood, the plant being Artemisia absinthium.
What's the Greek word of it? That's what I'm interested about.
I think that's what I just said. Artemisia
okay.
Absinthium, or at least that's the Latin name of that plant. In local Ukrainian and Russian Bibles, the name of the star is pollen, Polyn. And it says a word which is here used interchangeably for numerous plants within the larger mugwort or Artemisia family.
Pollen or polyon?
Polyn. Pollen. Poland.
Oh, okay.
Pollen? It might be Poland. So Chornobyl, Cornobyl, the plant from which the town takes its name, right? Chornobyl is one such pollen. So if it's used interchangeably, pollen is used interchangeably for that Artemisia family, which in English Bibles is translated to wormwood. It says, as a result of this connection, many local Christians believe that the disaster had been foretold by the Bibles. So that's where we're getting that connection between wormwood and Chernobyl.
Right. And it's kind of interesting too, because the bitterness of the water kind of makes sense. Like if a nuclear plant, gets really messed up. We saw what happened. What was it, Japan? I think it maybe like 5 years ago or 6 years ago or something.
Right.
That tsunami came in and messed that up.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
So, quick question to stick on this vein a little bit and going into more biblical stuff, like we always tend to do. The third angel, would that be the third seal?
So the seals are technically the tribulation. So it's like the turmoil and the very crappiness of a world with war and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then there after that is God's wrath. So technically the vials and the bowls, which is I believe what that third angel is, or a trumpet or whatever it is that they sound off, but that's part of a wrath. So it's like something God's doing to the earth, to the inhabitants of the earth.
Because this Chernobyl happened in 1986.
Yep. Which it is part of that whole apocalypse event, because there's the tribulation and then the wrath. It's like there's two things that happen.
Right. I was just trying to figure out like how far down the line is, because there's 7. If it's one of the seals, then there's 7 seals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this was halfway.
Right.
Which would mean we still had some time.
We got time.
In 1986, we had time. Good thing I was only 4 years old.
And now I think it also says in there too, right? Like that men who drank the water died. Something maybe a little further down in that passage. I can't remember.
You would know better than me.
Yeah, I think people start getting taken out, or they die because they're drinking the bitter water. Maybe radiation water.
Realistic and relevant.
Oh boy.
All right.
So what are we on bananas here? What are you guys thinking banana wise for?
Are we quitting the bananas? We're doing the bananas.
Oh, I don't care.
Let's bring it back.
Let's do it.
Let's bring it back.
Let's bring it back.
Do you remember what the banana scale is? You guys always mess this up.
I do mess it up, but I think I've got it.
It's like if it's easy to eat. So one banana would be like it's easy to digest, it's easy to eat. So that means you believe in it.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're like 9 bananas, then you
Too
can't
many
eat
bananas.
too many bananas to eat at once.
I love bananas.
Get my potassiums up.
Yeah, but I think that this there's something to this. I think I even think like the mainstream, NASA and whatever science is behind all this. I think that maybe they don't know 100% what the hell is going on up there, but I think it has a lot of significance to it if we're looking at the trajectory of it. Can it hit? I think it can hit. I just don't know if we're 100% getting told the full story, which is
Well, you don't want to cause
acceptable.
panic.
Yeah, you don't want to
Right.
cause panic.
Exactly.
But I do think step one in this scenario is to talk about Apophis like the way that they are talking about it. It's like they're like spoon feeding it kind of to you, nice and easy, and then who knows?
Yep.
Maybe the narrative could change down the road. Like, holy shit, yeah, we are expecting a 2029 impact. But then again, I don't know if they would really tell us if it. I don't know. I mean, that's crazy, right? Like, maybe I don't know. I mean,
So I think it really depends. So we'd have to go back. And this is me, I guess, remiss on this part, going back and looking to see what the actual percentage chance of it hitting us, right? Is
Right.
it like it's going to happen, or if it hits this pocket, like there's a 4% chance of it hitting this pocket, then it's going to impact us.
And you know what? Like, why did NASA? I think this was maybe a year ago, maybe more. I don't know, but they did have a mission that they sent off. I think it was a satellite.
Yeah. The DART program
to make contact with an asteroid. So it seems like maybe they're working on tactics.
Oh, that was China.
Against the possibility. Was it China?
No, it was us. It's a DART program. I'm sure. I think I heard about that too. China was. I feel like China was like, let's get on these rocks so we can mine them. I think that's what they were thinking with whatever they were doing. Maybe not, but I know we had the DART program via SpaceX, I believe, working with NASA, and that was just to hit an asteroid with a satellite to break it apart or blow it up, whatever.
I think they wanted to see if they could even hit something that was moving in space.
It seems more like they know something's going to happen, and they're trying to be proactive about it, because the whole program was designed to off course an asteroid so it doesn't hit Earth. That's why the program was designed.
And you know what? Like, maybe people just won't give a crap. Like, let's, like, if there was
desensitized.
Yeah, well, it's
demoralized and desensitized.
It's kind of like what your dad was saying, with the footage he was filming and stuff with the UFO in front of everybody. It's really, people didn't really give a shit. They don't care. It doesn't affect them. So it's like,
yeah.
I don't know how people
are thinking about that a little bit as well. So even say it's going to hit us, right? Like it's going to happen. Say it's coming here to Florida, right? Or straight at Las Vegas. But we have like 3 years notice. You know what I mean? Like, this shit is going
great. That's awesome. I'm moving now,
Right. Wait, some of us, like you and me, and like we're probably gonna start being like, all right, well, let's make some plans.
Oh, I'm gone in a week.
Yeah. We're ordering shipping containers and we're putting them in the ground.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so like you could just be like, all right, I'm not renewing my lease next year.
Yeah.
I'm going to move to Tennessee or something, right? Or wherever else people need plumbing.
Yeah. Everywhere. I'm going to Japan.
Yeah, but what if like you're a homeowner, right? And all of a sudden, your property is going to be hit in 3 years. Like,
it's gone.
You're stuck with a property that you're not getting rid of, right? Or if someone wants to buy it, it's going to be for like way low, in the hopes of after it hits that it still exists.
Yeah, I'll just get rid of it. Go try to make a deal with a deal with the bank. They'll probably rent it out for 2.5 years.
But how many people do like even have that opportunity, right? Like, all right, I have 3 years, but it's going to take me 2 years to even save up enough to move or find another place to go because you're not going to be the only one. So everywhere that might be reasonable for you, the prices are going to increase because that's where the
Yep.
impact isn't going to be. Like it's
Mhm.
going to
Mhm.
be a crap show.
Oh yeah,
Really
Like
is.
all the way
Golly.
around. Like
economically, everything. Yep.
right,
Everything's gonna fall.
even if you think it hits in the water out in the Pacific or in the Atlantic, everybody that's on the coast, like Florida, there's a good chance it's gone. If it hit off the coast of
Oh
Florida,
yeah.
there's
Oh,
a
dude.
tsunami
Can you
that's a
imagine
half
all that
mile
water
tall.
displaced? I mean,
That's
What's the
covering
width
the
of
state.
Florida? What's like the width?
I would
What's that, 180 miles?
say, I would say that, yeah. I would say that.
Okay.
150 miles wide, I
Yeah.
think. On
And
average.
Miami is like damn near below sea level, right?
Oh, it already is. It's like half a foot below sea level already.
Okay, yeah.
But like the
wanna-
highest point in the state is like where DMAT's got his house, and that's only 100 feet.
I was about to say that, yeah.
Oh,
I was about to say
wow.
that. Yeah, in
Oh,
Central Florida
damn.
at least. If
Yeah,
you
yeah,
go more
like-
north, yeah.
I think in like Sugarloaf Mountain is number 1, right? Or maybe
Mhm.
number 2. No,
Sugarloaf.
Mount Dora is like number 2 or 3, I think.
Right. Right.
And Mount Dora is only like 106 feet. I think DMAT's property
No.
is 109. So
Really?
like, tsunami
Yeah,
came
yeah.
across Florida, like the whole state is gone. My house is at 42 feet elevation.
How tall is Mount
Can you
Dora
imagine,
though? I
dude?
thought-
Like you're on
Yeah,
a boat,
Mount Dora's
bro.
like 98 feet or something.
Imagine
like
you're on a
that.
little
Or,
rowboat,
100.
dude.
I think Mount Dora might be like 110 or something. I don't even know, but it's like number 2 in the state for height.
I could not imagine.
Stupid
that.
question though. Is there a mountain in Mount Dora? No. Okay.
No, it's just.
There's
Is there
that-
any mountainous areas in Florida?
Here's
So
no,
there's
it's
really
flat.
hilly areas.
Yeah.
So there is a ridge that kind of runs the middle of the state, going north to south, and it travels through most of Lake County, and then down like south through Claremont and stuff like that. So, and through Claremont, there's some elevation change, like probably 80, 90 feet hills, right?
Right.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're at the bottom of it and you got to walk up, it's a big deal.
No doubt.
But again, that's like that's like about it. You go out towards the coast or you hit Seminole County and it's swamp. Like they have to build the roads
Mhm.
up to
Right.
get through most of that.
That's crazy, dude. And it's like, why would you name Mount Dora Mount Dora?
Because
What's
it's
that
number
about?
2 in the state for height, Bubble.
Yeah.
It's a mountain, man.
Yeah.
Well, there's
It's so
Sugarloaf
big,
Mountain.
90 feet tall.
And you know what's crazy too? Like if Florida was to get, if Florida was to go underwater, even just the ports. Let's just talk about the ports. We're talking
Trillions
about
of dollars in damage.
trillions. But the thing is too, like the whole supply chain is screwed. If California and Florida become submerged, that I think our import and export system is completely like wiped out. Because if you think about it, when COVID was happening, right? And I think when California was completely shut down, right? I think they were in like a stage 1 or phase 1 or whatever. And I think as you went through the phases, the lighter the restrictions were. But when they were in phase 1, we had to switch our infrastructure from being really California heavy to being Florida heavy. And that's when we started
Made everything
taking
go through different ports and different,
Right, we-
like had to go
Florida
through the
then-
Panama Canal.
Yeah, Florida was like, I'm stepping up, and we're going to take the responsibility for the infrastructure that's knocked down in California, and we're going to run it through Florida. And I mean, if you take both of those regions out, I think it's really bad. I think. What did you say? How many days or how many weeks would it take for the nation to be completely out of food, if there was like a stoppage on a few weeks, maybe a week?
I mean, so if you can't move what exists, like the places that produce it would last longer, but like the bigger cities, like 3 days it's 3 days. Like grocery stores are set up for 3 days, but if there's an emergency, that stuff will be wiped out in 1 day.
Oh yeah, dude.
Right?
Oh
And
yeah.
so the average household doesn't have much more than a week's worth of food anymore. There's some, some people, like if you even look in your own pantry,
Right.
you could probably make actual meals, most
Mhm.
people, for about a week.
I
Right?
agree with that. And a lot of people, they
Mhm.
don't have deep freezers. They're not stocking a supply. They're not, doing, I'm not labeling everybody, but the majority, I mean, if you think about it, most of Americans don't even have $1,000 in their bank account. How can they have all this food storage? It's like they got other crap to worry about, other things to pay for and stuff. Apophis, F you. All right. You are not welcome here.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that I think before 2030 there's going to be a lot of weird stuff happening. I think Apophis might play a big role in a lot of that.
I feel like we are reaching, if we haven't technically already reached it, we're getting really close to a poly crisis that we're not going to be able to manage easily.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
With because already a lot of our infrastructure is stressed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just from existing, right? So much of it just needs to be replaced because it hasn't been maintained properly.
Right.
If part of the infrastructure goes down either through nefarious means like sabotage or just bad luck, right? Something happens or a natural disaster on top of. So a natural disaster happens and then a terrorist attack of some sort on top of that, or like this whole new like the bird flu getting into cows now. Like that's another food
Jeez,
source
dude.
that is a problem now too, right? Like, or another thing like that. This next pandemic, whatever happens. So COVID killed a lot of people, right? Like I'm not gonna deny that. But in the grand scheme of diseases, it wasn't very deadly.
Right. I think there was a
even
1
less,
point something.
even less deadly than influenza, like a normal
Mm-hmm.
flu.
Yes.
Right? Yep. Like by the numbers, by statistics, not making this up.
Right.
It was
Yep.
less deadly by like
I think the
many
flu is
percentages.
1%, and I think COVID was slightly under that. Yeah.
It was like
They
0.1.
hijacked.
Yeah.
They got caught hijacking numbers. So
it was even lower
it was
for
much
children
lower.
as well.
Right. But I think this next one is going to be a huge deal because the bird flu, I want to say in the human populations that it has affected, like it's like a 5% kill rate.
I'm telling you, man, a piece of this fucking asteroid, dude, is gonna chip off, bro. It's gonna float here, dog. They're gonna blame it on another pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, it could
Who
be.
knows?
I mean, that could be the one that comes and like.
Isn't
really
it so bad to think like that? Like, why am I thinking like that?
One of the things that
Come on,
even not even talking, if you extrapolate that out, not even talking just general loss of life, right? But of that loss of life, how many of those people are like actual relevant producers in our society? Not just people that exist on the planet, but like people that actually get things done and know how to do stuff and keep our planet running the way we have it, right?
Right.
Because most of us, I mean, I've lived half of a normal human life, right? I'm turning 42 this year. I know how to do a lot of things, but there's a lot of, and some of it is just enough to get me by or in trouble till I gotta call somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the general stuff. I've never built a house. I could probably build something. It ain't gonna be safe.
My wobble.
Not going to be up to code.
Yeah. Like I could do a lot of things. Like I am not a farmer. I can't plant anything that's gonna stay. If it wasn't gonna live on its own anyway,
Right.
like it's not gonna live around me. Like I got one tomato plant of all the plants that I've planted over the years. That's a real winner. Like it's pumping out tomatoes.
Nice.
And tomatoes are easy plants to grow too.
And like
like you said.
But like everything else that I put in the ground is like a 90% chance it will die before it produces anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's tricks of the trade, man. You got to know the tricks.
Yeah, and I don't. It's not something that
Right.
like there's things that we all have aptitude for, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many people who haven't even bothered trying to learn any of this stuff, so they don't know that they have an aptitude for it.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they do, by the time they need it, there's not going to be anybody to teach them. So
Which sucks, because I've thought about this many times. It's like, okay, like you said, I know how to do a lot of stuff. I could get several people by. I could help out several people if anything crazy happens. But there's going to be those people that don't know, and then that's going to put more weight on me now because there's so many other people that just can't, they can't do anything. They've never learned anything. They're helpless. And now that they have zero confidence, it's even worse. So that all that weight from all these other people, whether it's your neighbors or your family or your neighbors and your family, that all that weight is going to add more to you now. So
And then and if something happens to you, then
exactly. And then
they
they're all
might
screwed.
be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
No, that's a fun way to end this podcast on a light.
We're
note.
all doomed.
Oh yeah, and who knows? We might revisit this too. 2029. Do another
Or 2027.
Or 2027, dude.
Isn't wait? So hold on. Isn't Apophis supposed to pass by in 2027 too?
I
probably will. It might not be as close then. Maybe I don't know.
Oh,
it
so this thing
by
is
regularly.
Yeah, this thing is circling fast.
Yeah. I know that there was also, I could be wrong on this, I should have brought this up earlier, but I swore there was a guy that said there was a chance a long time ago as well that there was a chance of it hitting in 2027. And then I think they retracted the data or something like that.
Or they killed him. I'm just kidding.
Or they killed him. Hillary Clinton killed him, hung him on a tree.
It's the real life Leonardo DiCaprio, bro. Yeah. He's like, it's gonna make it hit. Bam.
Yep. You
or
did.
He self-inflicted homicide.
Deleted himself.
He murdered. Yeah. He self-murdered.
Oh man.
Or as people say now, he unalived himself.
Unalive. That's how they. That's the terminology now.
Yeah, I want to get monetized. Say unalive.
Yeah, but dude, seriously, we should. I mean, I do know it's going to be a heavy informational podcast, but I am very interested in the ancient mythologies and stuff.
Oh,
even just bringing those up, maybe being skeptical about it, or even just being, just theorizing on it and stuff. I think it's I would like to study it myself, just so I can fully get a good grip on the narratives, at least the story of it. I think it'll make NASA make more sense to me, at least. Like if they're shooting, no one knows who APEP is or whatever, and why they shot 3 rockets up into the same path as the moon there, but there's more significant meaning behind it when you do kind of understand how Louis broke it down, Ra and APEP, and the eclipse that you were talking about. It's super interesting, man.
Occult symbolism and rituals. It seems like they were performing a ritual.
I wonder how. Now I don't know if there's like a subgroup or something in NASA that is running a pagan operation, or because I do think that a lot of the people there are knowledgeable about why they're doing the things that they're doing, but it's like, who's telling them to do that?
Yeah,
or maybe they're all kind of.
It's compartmentalized, just like any other government faction is compartmentalized, and people are kept in this one and this one, and they're all performing the same duty for the higher ups.
It just makes me want to think, like, is there a ritual? Is there really a ritual meaning behind it, or are they just doing it to put a stamp on the rocket? Here it says Apollo, whatever, boom, and they send it off. And I wonder if there's like a group that's harvesting some. They're trying to do the ritual.
So do you think? Do you think? Because if you look at like what the science behind a lot of the stuff is, like it's relevant science, right? So the APEP project during the eclipse was they fired up 3 rockets. They're like sound rockets, and they measure the effect of the sudden blocking of the sun on the ionosphere, and it's to see like what kind of effect eclipses and stuff have on communications, right? Like that was what was purportedly behind it.
Right.
I think
allegedly.
Right. Yeah. Right. So what I think what you're getting at is there
a sinister thing?
The naming convention of it, right?
Yeah.
Like is naming it this,
right?
Making it more ritual, like we're doing it as a like an offering to whatever. We're naming it this during this for XYZ
Right.
reason, and that gives attention to
Right. And what made me kind of go down that thought process was I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and he had a professional snake catcher on there or something, a guy that deals with reptiles and snakes and stuff. But he was in Florida, which I'd be like super in to go try and visit this area. But he was searching for snakes on an old abandoned NASA property where they would do rocket launches and stuff. And as he's there and he's, looking for these rare snakes and stuff, he comes across multiple areas of like ritual setup, pentagrams, and all this kind of crap. Now I get it, like anyone could go there, bums could go there, whatever. It's free space. But I found that interesting. I don't know if it was like, something that was left behind, or if it was something that was like in its active state and he just came across it. But it made me think like, man, like what could be going on behind the scenes at NASA? I don't know if there's like a secret society group behind it or whatever, but that's kind of like what I was thinking. It's like the natural man sees that NASA is calling their programs this, and that, but I feel like behind the scenes, maybe there's something darker or like an Eyes Wide Shut type deal where they're getting something else out of it when the world is only seeing it this way. I guess
they do seem awfully obsessed with mythology.
Yeah, and like everything is a NASA has pagan. Yeah, everything's a deity. Yeah, so it's very interesting.
They're obsessed. Is it just an obsession?
I wonder if these deities are actual real characters, right? That like are real. They're real things, and through the different types of ancient mythologies that these civilizations at those times were connecting to maybe these entities, which were. They were seeing them as how they were, but then they were worshiping them in the physical realm, how they do, how they call them this, why they call them this god, this and this, and they're getting the story. I'm thinking like maybe, the sorcerers at those times were maybe really good at entering like the astral plane, and maybe these things are a part of the astral plane that were giving them information or whatever, because there's a lot of
I've said that before, that like these beings, they were actual beings, they were entities, and they were perceived a certain way, and they were just worshipped in different languages. Like it's all it's all the same story from a different point of view. If you really look at it, like it's all the same.
And that's why it's so interesting, man. So interesting.
It's fascinating.
I thought this was a good show. I thought really we hit everything about Apophis. So it starts to get a little dry at the end, but there's only so much to talk about. But this was a good one. I liked it. It was fun. Apophis.
Hey, one more thing before we go is I forgot to bring up earlier too, is the comet that flew over with the eclipse at the same time. It was called the Devil Comet.
Oh, so that was interesting. Yeah, I remember that. Or I saw something about it, but
yeah, they covered that. Yeah, there's a couple of things I should have brought up earlier, but yeah, we'll get to it later.
There's a lot. I think when I was looking at something online, some NASA website or something, where you can actually like see everything in our solar system, and there's so many comets or asteroids out there that do have significant names or whatever. Most of them have like numerical names to it.
Yeah,
C57A or something. You're like, what the hell?
Right. Provisional names.
Yeah,
provisionals.
So,
all right. Well, if you've made it this far, we really appreciate it. Share with your friends. Give us a like, subscribe. The usual interweb stuff. I'm no good at this anymore, or ever really was. Anybody got any shout outs? Follow Jesse on his channel. What's it, JT Baby or something?
Jesse T Baby. JESSET BAYBEE. Jesse T, baby. Follow me on YouTube. It's an MMA channel. I'm gonna probably post our content every now and then on there. But yep, gonna have my first episode here pretty soon, within the next week. So.
Oh, nice, man. Heck yeah, cool.
Sweet penis.
Yeah, so tune into that, everybody. Again, thank you for if you've reached this far, thank you very much. And if you guys have any suggestions, anything you think would be episode worthy, something interesting topic to talk about, just shoot us an email, or even you just leave it in the comments, and we'll see if we can push out that content for you guys. But thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.